National Fire Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This week, the week of May 29th, rolling into June. Monday is Memorial Day, a day that we reflect, a day that we think of our service members here and abroad, protecting our freedoms and allowing us to do what we do at home. And for that, I am grateful for those that serve and protect my freedom. Thank you. I appreciate all of you, and we'd love to hear from you. Don't be afraid to use the email at podcast@nationalfireradio.com. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you're serving overseas or domestically here within our country, protecting our borders and freedoms. We'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email, podcast@nationalfireradio.com. We'd love to hear from you. Hear where you are and what you do, where you're stationed. I think it'd be great. We'd love to share some of those stories. So don't be afraid to reach out. Anyway, this week, all new episodes by National Fire Radio. Some great heavy hitters, some very powerful episodes will be coming out, as well as a new episode from the Size Up on this Tuesday. So thanks for tuning in. As always, please do me a favor and give our sponsors a quick listen before we roll into the daily episode. This episode's brought to you by Box Alarm Grills. When your apparatus arrives on scene, are you making the best showing? Looking to set your rig apart from everyone else? Want your engine, truck, or rescue to be easily identifiable? There is a solution. With large aluminum grill numbers and full-width rear mud flaps from Box Alarm Grills. Formed by Danny and a team of fellow firefighters, Box Alarm Grills gets it. They know what it means to show pride in your ride, delivering the quality construction and design that fire departments demand. That's why their grill numbers and mud flaps grab attention, enhance visibility, and make your fleet recognizable on scene while responding or just driving around town. Built in the USA by a family-owned business, Box Alarm Grills is quickly becoming the choice of fire companies, apparatus planners, and fire truck manufacturers with out-of-the-box or custom solutions. Check out functional, durable grill numbers and mud flaps from Box Alarm Grills today at boxalarmgrills.com and on Facebook and Instagram. And like Danny and his crew like to say, add pride to your ride. This episode's brought to you by Taylor's Tins. Taylor and his crew at Taylor's Tins have been manufacturing aluminum helmet fronts since 2017. With over 200,000 tins in the market, they are a leader in the helmet front space. Custom design, one-offs to department orders, they can turn them around within 24 to 48 hours. Customer service is what they pride themselves on, and they provide nothing but top-shelf product and service to their customers. Check them out at taylorstins.com and check out their full line of product offering. They've always been a very strong supporter since day one with the National Fire Radio podcast and platform, and Taylor and his crew have become dear friends of ours, and we appreciate the support. And at checkout, for a little extra bonus, use coupon code NFR Sent Me. That's NFR Sent Me for a discount on your order. Exclusions do apply. Anyway, check out taylorstins.com for the latest and greatest offerings from Taylor and his crew. And in the words of Taylor, stop burning up leather. Hey everyone, Jeremy, National Fire Radio. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's going to be a fun episode because I'm going to learn, just like you are, all about our guest. Mike Elston, Battalion Chief, 24 years with the Salem Fire and EMS Department in Salem, Virginia. Chief, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Jeremy. Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
This is cool. So a little backstory on how you and I met, and then I'll get into a little bit of your history, your pedigree, if you will. I was down at the show in Virginia, a conference back in February, I believe it was, talking with the guys from Fast Rescue Solutions, who are dear friends of mine, Eric Allen, Mike Horst. We're chatting. I'm chatting with Chief Horst, who I'll give him all the time in the world to just sit and chat. And he enjoys that time. And I was talking with Mike Horst, who's a retired chief out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's been there, done that, hard as nails, and he's a dear friend, and he has a fantastic reputation. And I'm chatting. He goes, hey, I got a guy for you to meet. I was just talking to him. I want to introduce you. He said, when he comes back around, I'll find you. I said, great. So I walk off, and literally 30 seconds later, he's running down the aisle, like literally running down the aisle, waving me down. Hey, I found the guy. And over comes Big Mike Elston. And you and I had never met before. Chief Horse puts us together, says, Jeremy, you got to have this guy on the podcast. He's got so much to bring to the table. He loves the job, blah, blah, blah. It'd be perfect. You two will hit it off. And I said, great. And you and I chatted for probably 5 minutes, and we had a lot of commonality in the conversation. We just had a really good go-around. And here we are a few minutes later having you on the show. And so I'm absolutely looking forward to learning about you and your story, and it'll be a lot of fun, man. So thank you for being here. Truly, I mean that.
Thank you once again.
Yeah. So 37 years in the fire service, 1986, and you got 24 years in the career services. You volunteered in Kentland, down in Prince George's County, Maryland. You were an associate member there for many years. You're now a life member at Kentland, as well as a life member with the Bedford, Virginia Fire Department also, which is another very reputable fire department, man. You're surrounding yourself with good company.
Oh, no, I'm just an associate in Bedford. I haven't been there long enough to make life
I'm
yet.
sorry. Okay, associate member in Bedford. All right, thank you for the correction. So give me a little background, man. Where did this love and passion for the fire service come from?
Well, I was, a little kid, always wanted to be a fireman, then never came to fruition until I was in college. And moved to Charlottesville had big dreams of going to college there and doing great things. And yeah, I took an EMT class. My EMT instructor was like, come down to the firehouse and ride a shift with me. That did it right there.
Really?
I called my mom and dad. I'm like, hey, yeah, I think I'm going to be a fireman.
Walking away from college?
Didn't walk away from college. I finished college in Roanoke Valley.
Yeah.
But, leaving Charlottesville, my big joke is I left there with 3 majors: rugby, punk rock, and the distilled arts.
I love that. Go down that road a little bit. So those are good college years, man. Those 3 topics right there. I love it.
Oh yeah, that was definitely good times. All 3.
Yeah.
I still play music with old friends, and yeah, still have a good time with it all, except for the rugby. I had to, left that, but a lot of good memories there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: that chief that instructor that invited you down to the firehouse, you said you went down there and you jumped in on a ride along for a shift there, and that was it, right? The hook was planted, right?
Yeah. It was planted.
What was that? Did that gentleman become a mentor to you, or was it just the guy that got you hooked? Like, what about it? What about you? Did he see to say, like, I got to bring this guy down here? I think he's got that fire in his eye, if you will.
I think he saw that I was going down a bad path with some of the people I was hanging out with, and like, hey, come down to the firehouse ride. And he definitely became one of my greatest mentors. And he still is, because,
nice.
I occasionally get to teach with him, and that's definitely an honor.
Yeah. 37 years in the fire service, still learning. I love that.
Absolutely.
Mentorship is super important. And
yes, it is.
When an individual takes time out of their schedule to see something in someone else and then give them the opportunity to pursue it. I mean, what that guy did for you with that invitation that day is probably life-changing for you, if you think about it.
Oh, it definitely was. It definitely was. And, as we grow, there are bumps along the way, but I go back to, like, things that he told me that kept me going through this.
Yeah. And do you find yourself ever in this position now? I mean, with 37 years under your belt in the fire service, do you find yourself, or have you found yourself in that position where, you are influencing others, or you're at a position where, you are maybe considered a mentor to someone?
I have been with several people, and, it's an honor because I still love the job. I learn as much from them, watching them grow. It's amazing.
Success of your people, how important is that to you?
That's very important, because that's what's going to keep the fire service going. Succession is a big thing, because my goal is to make sure that people that I'm working with and mentoring, I want them to be much better than I was. at what we do in the fire service.
Well, yeah. So that's such a load. Like you said it so simply, and yet that's such a loaded conversation because I struggle with that in today's times. And you and I were talking before we hit the record button about what it looks like today, today's fire service and the importance of pushing it forward, right? And for you wanting your people to succeed, for you wanting your people to do better than you did on your back, on your hard work and drive to push yourself to be better in return, you want people to be better than you were. That takes a certain individual, though, that wants to promote others ahead of them.
I mean, it's important for us right now because, just watching, these young men and women in fire service now that have that passion and that drive for the job, the down and dirty parts of the job. This is a blue collar working class job. It's a down and dirty job, but it's a craft that we constantly have to hone.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just making some notes. Down and dirty job, no doubt. Blue collar job, no doubt. And I think that's maybe one of the misses that's happening more than ever now in our job is a lot of people are coming up through the education system and believe that furthering their education, and then they want to come out and they automatically think they're going to go to a job where they're going to make $100,000 a year working on Wall Street or some type of cushy office job. We don't promote the arts. We don't promote the blue collar community as well as we used to, and that is directly affecting the fire service. Would you think?
Absolutely. When I got in the fire service, most of the older guys that I looked up to, they all had a trade. And how many people have trades anymore? Come from a trade background. In our area, we have guys that they grew up on farms. They do tree work. We have carpenters, contractors, and we get a lot of the younger generation coming in with zero trade skills.
Yeah. What do you foresee? I mean, as a battalion chief, I mean, you're in an operational role within your department right now. You've been in that role for a while. You have, plenty of years under your belt, and you're seeing this change. I mean, obviously the job is advancing technologically as well, but we still require these blue collar trade skills for our workers. And so is it harder to teach the trades than it is the admin side, the education side, or is it easier to teach the trades? Like, I'm curious from your point of view.
I mean, there's a good trade-off within the firehouse because, recently we had a big tech rescue training exercise in the state. And we watched some of the guys that, would take the younger guys like, hey, let me show you how this works. I'll get down here with you and this is going to work this way. We see it in the firehouse. Hey, let me show you how to do this. And in turn, you got this younger generation going, hey, let me show you how to do this, how to work this on social media, how to work this on your phone to where you can pull up these documents and do all this. So I see a good trade.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there is a big trade-off, right? Generational trade-offs. It's what each generation is good at, and if they could bring it to the table and find and meld it together, it becomes part of the equation, right? And you can get to the answer. And I think that's a very interesting way to look at it, and we need to value that. And I don't think one set of skills should be valued over another set of skills.
Oh, absolutely not. We need both right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I think what's interesting too, though, when you talk about trades and you talk about learning the trades, a lot of just like the fire service, when you're carpentry, farming, plumbing, electrician, landscaping, a lot of it is learned on the training grounds or on the actual grounds in which you work, just like the fire service, right? We can train. We can put you through a technical school for HVAC training. But until you get into Mrs. Smith's hot attic or into a commercial building to run ductwork and you come up against real world problems is when you start to really learn the job. So there's tremendous value, not just in the trade itself, but the act of learning the trade is very similar to firefighting because it requires that fire ground, that actual playground to learn on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where, good lessons are learned and sometimes hard lessons are learned there.
How important are the hard lessons?
We learn from them. We always do.
Yeah. I mean,
those hard lessons are important.
Making mistakes, right? In his 37-year career in the fire service, running with some very busy volunteer departments, as well as your career department, I'm sure you've made plenty of mistakes.
Absolutely.
I have too. Talk about that. Talk about that process for you and what that looks like.
A lot of times, even, starting out, if I, not pulling the hose right, not, getting that rack on your shoulder right, and you've got that senior guy like in your ear, this is why you did this. You did this way. You got to fix this. This is what you need to do to fix it. Now do it again. And, even stuff on the fire ground. Hey, you should have gone this way, should have gone right instead of left. Why'd you go that way? No. And you get those lessons right there. And that's a mistake. That's a lesson you're never going to forget.
Yeah.
Because,
go ahead.
Because, those hard lessons, we talk about them. But when it really comes down to it, that could either mean the life or injury to a civilian or us. So, we don't have a lot of margin for error in what we do.
That is very true. There's not a lot of margin for error built into our systems for sure. Let me ask you this, coming up through the system when you did through the fire service, I mean, you're talking mid to late 80s, 90s, right? I mean, these are times that probably down in Prince George's County when you were riding in Kentland and so on, probably pretty good amount of fire duty. I have to think that you guys were running a lot, right? Then you're in your times of being there. The senior men, the guys that were mentors to you, talk to me about their demeanor and what an impact they had on you.
See, I got there in 06, so I was kind of a late bloomer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I was kind of a late bloomer, but still, there were guys that were great mentors there that, I mean, it was a very humbling experience for me coming there as a late bloomer. Because, okay, I think I know this, and you realize you don't know as much as you think. And they let you know about it. And I thank them for the lessons I learned. Because, it taught me to be a better fireman. It taught me to train harder.
Because they
realized that
they held you accountable.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say.
I was held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that, I mean, in those early, in those days, right? I mean, where you had people on the line that weren't afraid to hold you accountable, did you find in the other, after the first conversation about the mistake, were they then there to help you pick up your game to learn from that mistake? Yeah. So,
absolutely.
So talk to me about that process, because to me, that's a huge issue that we need to be sure of, that if we're going to work with people and point out mistakes and identify and people take accountability for their actions, we then need to give them the opportunity to fix it, to get better. And we have to be patient and willing to work with them.
So there was a lot of kitchen table conversations and a lot of, hey, let's go out in the bay. Let's run through this. And there's a lot of, hands-on, repetitive, skills, getting skills in, sets and reps. There was a lot of sets and reps. Then go back, talk about it again, sets and reps. And you understand the why behind, okay, this is the reason why we're doing this. So it was laid out as you did it. This is why we move this way. This is why you carry this way. So, that has paid off over the years, definitely.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And I love that conversation because when the table gets set earlier in your career, it allows you and sets you up for success and then becoming an influential person in your later years. I think there's unfortunately great people in the fire service that never got a good opportunity to learn from good people. And they might have gone sideways or their career doesn't look like what it could have because they lacked the mentorship or the senior person that could help them perfect or master their game. And I think that's a real interesting conversation because a lot of people struggle in finding a good mentor. Good fire departments have good people. Good fire departments, breed good mentors. Shitty fire departments often don't have good senior people. And that is a problem.
Right. And, I had some great senior people coming up, when I got hired in Salem. Yeah, I kind of start off, yeah, I know this, I know that, but they taught me a lot of things that paid off in the end.
Mm.
And it wasn't always on the fire ground. It was sometimes dealing with other people.
Yeah.
That interpersonal communication.
I love what the fire service can do for us as the individual. In my life, I equate so many things to the fire service, to the fire ground, to the way we treat and manage people as the civilians, to the people we work with or volunteer with. I relate so much of my life to the fire service. Do you do the same? Is that common for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we are constantly growing every day.
Talk about that.
Because we're constantly growing every day because there are no 2 days that will ever be the same in the fire service. There is no such thing as Groundhog Day here. Every day that we step in here, we step into the world of the unexpected. So, the people that come in, the citizens that we encounter, there's nothing that's ever going to be the same.
Yeah. I love that. I just wrote that down. No such thing as Groundhog Day around here. And that's very, very true. And I think we have to have that mindset every single time we cross that threshold and walk into the firehouse, because I think when we don't, that's when complacency starts to creep in. And that's when we get a little too comfortable with where we are and what we are. So talk to me a little bit more now about, the progression. So you met a great mentor in college, told you to come down, ride along. You fell in love with it. You got the hook. What did that look like for you? Was that then volunteer days for you? Did you volunteer right away? And then
I volunteered in Charlottesville for a bit till school started up in Roanoke, then moved to Roanoke, was in college, volunteered in Roanoke County, graduated from College of Health Sciences with my paramedic and emergency health sciences degree, then went to work for Roanoke County for a little bit and, spent some time there, left there, did a couple of wildland experiences out west,
Really?
working on AD crews.
Huh.
That was pretty crazy.
How'd you find your way there? That's interesting.
So the county around Roanoke County has a big wildland urban interface area. So
okay.
And got into it, while I was volunteering. It's like, hey, I can make money doing this. Yeah. Younger, more fit, skinnier days of doing a lot of running and all that. So had a blast with that. Then went to work for pardon me.
Yep.
Worked in the emergency department at a local hospital for a bit. Did some transport service stuff until application process came up for Salem. Applied, and here we are today.
Yeah. And that, I mean, but along the way, though, you found yourself, like, within your career. I mean, you joined Kentland, right? You said you joined in 2006, right?
It was around late 2006.
So you're already into your career by 30 years.
Yeah.
20 years. 20 years in.
Yeah, 20 years in.
You decided to join one of the busiest volunteer fire departments in the country.
Yeah.
That had to be a little bit humbling, no?
Absolutely, it was humbling. Absolutely, it was. I learned some of my best lessons there.
Yeah, I mean, you alluded to that before, but I'm just thinking, like, I'm starting to wrap my brain around this conversation now, saying, like, all right, this guy's got 20 years in on the fire service. Things are moving in a direction that he's happy with. And then he says, let me go challenge myself further by going to ride with a busy, aggressive fire department. And then you drive up how many hours to get to Kentland?
It was 5 hours.
5 hours. So you drive 5 hours, you go up there, you spend a couple days there. You get your butt kicked in probably for a couple days, and then you head back home, and then you come back up again and do it over and over.
Yeah. And, you know, my chief in Bedford, Todd Stone, I wanted to go up and do a ride along in New York, and he's like, yeah, they cut that out, but here, go check this place out. So I did, and ended up there and had a good time.
Are you looking for new forcible entry tools, seatbelt cutters, pouches, bags, screwdrivers, or even hose straps? Then head over to our friends at Modus Fire Rescue. They just might have what you're looking for. They are best known for their tool, the Snagger, but currently they have more than 25 products on their site, with more being added monthly. Also, while you're there, use code THESIZEUP, one word, to save 5% off your order.
So that's what it was. You went down there, you checked it out, you did a ride along there, and you got the hook, and you were like, hey, I think I want to do this. I'll tell you, man, I've been there once or twice now, and spent the day there one day with the high vis lighting crew. We were doing a joint project. We were down there, and we ended up having lunch with the guys there, and they were very hospitable, very welcoming. And I'll tell you, man, when the tones dropped, I mean, those guys are out the door literally in 15 seconds. And there's no joke. It goes from fun and laughter to all business literally at the snap of fingers. And there's something to be said for that. There's a very strong culture there. Did you know or understand that culture prior to arriving there?
Very little about it.
Okay.
BLS call going out.
You going?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
So it was it was eye-opening. I learned about that culture during my ride-alongs, and I was like, this is crazy. I like it.
Yeah. Were you missing that?
Some days I do, but then there's some days it's like, yeah, I can't even hang with those young kids now.
I get it now for sure, right? But back then, coming in, I mean, you were 20 years in, and then you arrive there, and it's such a different way about it, and how protective they are of who they are, and if you're the belief that this is who we are, and this is. It was cool. I had a bunch of conversations with some of the older guys that were there that day, and their demeanor of how much they loved that firehouse and the fire company, and the amount of history on the walls there and the guys that have come before them, they're very protective of that. And there's something to be said very loudly about that and how important that is in the fire service.
Yes.
Did you experience that before getting there? I mean, because listen, not all fire departments have a culture like that, and there's something to be said for it.
And it was a lot of getting there that first time. It's like a lot of that side eye, like, who's this dude? So you gonna hang? Where are you from? What's your story? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, it's a no-nonsense place, man. We're there.
Yeah, it's a no-nonsense place.
There to do work.
Yeah. either you're there to do work or have a nice day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, listen, man, so humbling, I'm sure. 20 years in, let me walk in the door of this place. I like it. I'd like to do this. And how many years have you been with them now? Since '06, I guess, right?
Yeah. Then, I haven't really run regularly up there since a little bit before. My son was a member up there also.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And he got injured in my son was a Mayday up there.
Oh, wow. All right.
So I really haven't been up there since he got injured.
Okay.
But yeah, I miss the guys. I miss that culture and everything. And the big thing it's about my son.
Of course. Of course. I mean, that's, family first, of course. So yeah. Did he make out all right, or what's the
he's doing well. He's back at his regular job.
Okay.
And doing phenomenal with that.
Okay, great.
So it's all good, and the guys up there were nothing but phenomenal.
Wow.
Still are.
Yes, I mean, super important to take care of our own, recognize that, right, and do the right thing. Always do the right thing.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. So as your days there, I mean, that had to be a lot of fun in the day of when you were there, and I'm sure there's a lot of memories and stories and experience to be made there. In your own career, battalion chief, did you ever want to or aspire to be in this position, or you found yourself to get there?
I was a captain on at our tech rescue station, and it's like, I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
And it's another step in that growth in the fire service. We constantly have to grow.
Agreed.
So, and that makes way for some of the guys behind me to come up and fill that spot that I had and do great things.
Yeah, and that was a tech rescue position. Is that what you said? Captain.
Yeah, I was at our tech rescue station. So, yeah, that was a good time.
Is that a passion of yours, the tech side?
Oh, it is. It is. It is. Really enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah. Since the first time I got on rope.
Okay. Oh, okay. So a ropes guy. Got it. You guys
I started off as rope guy. Yeah.
You guys are a unique breed, man. A lot of my buddies are heavy rescue guys into ropes and all of that, and I tell them to enjoy it, and I'm gonna stick with the water and the standard truck and engine work. The tech stuff for me, I don't know. I don't have this crazy excitement about it. What about that did you enjoy? I mean, there's so much there, right? When you go into that tech space, there's so many different disciplines that you can immerse yourself in. What about it? What was it? Just the personal challenge of it?
Oh, the challenge of it, and just, I'm doing something that, wow, this is really cool. The rope, the con space, trench stuff, the structural collapse component. It's all just, very interesting, and just really enjoy getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, I get it. I absolutely get it. So that's fun. And then, so as a captain, then, I mean, it's, especially in the tech world, a lot of responsibility falls on your shoulders. I mean, your company's got to be squared away. You got to have people below you that, trust in you and your mission and building out that department or that company. Super responsive. A lot of responsibility there.
Absolutely. And, making sure that you're passing on skill sets to the guys so that when, they're coming up through the ranks, they have that passion, that drive to get out and do the same, just like everything else on the fire ground, with our skills.
Wow, and I love that, right? The fact that you recognize the importance of how you treat those around you or the guys coming up behind you and giving them the opportunity to shine. Like you said before, there's something about a boss or a captain or a chief that wants their people to succeed. And I just think that makes for a very good conversation for sure. What about the battalion chief position? I mean, do you enjoy being in the car? I mean, that's got to, that's always one thing where you now affect change in a different way on the fire ground.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy what I do. There are some days it's like, oh yeah, I miss riding that right front seat.
Mm.
But I have a new job. I have new duties and responsibilities. So I'm not just, looking after a station of guys. I've got a whole shift that I, got to think about.
Right. Right. I think the battalion chief spot is such a unique position. I talked about this the other day on the show. I forget who I was talking to about it, but I love the position because I think that position can affect the most change because you're bridging that gap between the companies and the you're still involved in the operation. So you're still going to fires. You're still watching the guys run. It's now your sandbox, if you will. And, if you did it right coming up as a firefighter and as a boss of a company, and now you're in a battalion chief spot, you can affect probably more change today than you ever could because you can bridge that gap between the asphalt to town hall or city hall or to the chief, the admins. And I think that the battalion chief spot is a very, very good spot.
And, one of the things that's key to that is having good captains. Having good captains with good crews, that's everything. I'm here to support them. That's my job, is to make sure that my captains and their crews are taken care of. That is my job.
No
doubt. Without good captains,
yeah, I mean,
we don't have good crews on fire ground.
Well, and that's it, right? I mean, ultimately, if your companies are put together well and they're in a good position, you as a chief, it's your fire ground. However, you're working on behalf of the people, and when you let your people work, things go very well, especially when the companies are well put together.
Yes.
Well, it's got to be fun then. It's got to be a rewarding position for you, especially when you have the right people on the fire ground.
Oh, absolutely. Recently we've gone to several fires where I'm sitting here watching everybody working like it. Those guys are doing it right. I mean, it looks good. You're out bragging on them and the job that they're doing.
There's something to be said for a boss that brags about his people. I freaking love that, man. Too many bosses talk about themselves and not about their people, when in fact they should be only talking about their people and not themselves. And it's refreshing to hear a chief or a company officer just talk about their people and not themselves. And I do appreciate that. Talk to me about some other loves that you have. I know you're into pipes and drums. I know that's very important to you. Talk about what that looks like in your world and how active you are with it and what that's done for you.
So, got into that maybe 25 years ago or so. Just you'd see fire department stuff going on. There's always a pipe and drum band. It's that looks cool. I want to do that. So right next to the firehouse I work in right now, my civilian band practices next door to St. Paul's Episcopal. So I walked over there one day. It's hey, I want to learn how to do this. So I started taking piping lessons, and about midway through my lessons, we're hey, we need a bass drummer desperately. So went over, became a bass drummer. Then did that for quite some time, and I went up and they put out a request for a mass band for a funeral up in Northern Virginia. And that was my first, time going up. And it kind of hit home then, because when you see it and you're a part of it, it's hey, we're here to help honor the family and honor one of our fallen. This is awesome. Then, did some happier events that were even more fun, got to go and go to Texas, experience Chief Lasky's the honor guard and pipe and drum conference that they have. That was a good time.
Yeah, I bet.
Then, you know, played at FDIC a couple of times, and you know, and just to get, you know, be out there with that group of men and women in the fire service that here we are honoring our own, but we're here having fun, and you know, it's fire service tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blast, especially when we get out and play for good times and good things.
Well, that's it. I mean, it can't all be somber, right? And, you know, it's a celebratory, you know, we celebrate a lot in the fire service too, right? As much as we memorialize, we celebrate a lot as well. And, you know, bagpipes and the drums have always been a part of that traditionally. When you put on your outfit for, you know, your kilt, and you become part of the pipes and drum band, and you go to do an event, say it's a memorial or a funeral or a wake detail, something like that. What is that internal feel for you? I mean, you know, I know I've stood at attention many of times for, I've stood honor guard for caskets. I've attended many funerals, line of duty death funerals. When in regards to that, when we're memorializing someone, it's got to be such an honor, I would think, for you to be a part of the ceremonial celebration of that individual by being a part of the pipes and drums. Is that accurate to say?
It's very accurate, because, you know, we're part of the honor guard, and we're there for the families. We're there for the families, and we're for the brothers and sisters that lost a member.
Yeah.
It's all about them. You know, and to be there to, you know, support them, to honor them. That's the important part.
No doubt. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, you often think about how powerful those moments are, and for people that have never attended a line of duty death funeral in particular, but even just a funeral of one of our own, maybe under terrible circumstances or natural circumstances, it's never easy. And the memorial part of it is celebrating their lives, and it's done in a traditional way. And with pipes and drums, it is ceremonial. And like when Amazing Grace drops at a funeral, there's not a dry eye on the street or in the building.
Oh no, not at all.
And I just think it's this moving tribute to those that have fallen, and it's our way of sending them off in a dignified and celebratory way to let them know that, you know, we're there not only to pick up where they left off, but also for their families. And so I have to think for you to be a part of that, it probably shapes your outlook and your mindset quite regularly when you do events like that.
It does. And you just, you know, you sit, and after the ceremony, you talk, you get together. It's like, wow, this,
yeah.
You know,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then the celebratory side too, right? So then we have events, award day, or exciting events like that, or holidays, St. Patrick's Day, or weddings. You know, all these celebratory things too. You get to be a part of those memories for individuals too. I mean, that's got to be a lot of fun. Not only that, but I'm sure, like the fire service with the brotherhood and sisterhood, the camaraderie that comes from a group like that is, you know, it's ingrained into your lifestyle. It's who you are.
Oh, it is. It is. And, you know, like good time stuff is always, you know.
Yeah.
Always
welcomed. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like when the phone rings and the pipes and drums are needed, it goes one of two ways, right? It's either, a very good high or an awfully low. And that's got to be hard on you guys too, because, you know, doing funeral after funeral can become difficult, I can assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look forward to those good times.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me a little bit about, so back on the fire aspect of it, you got 24 years in Salem. I think your time, I don't want to age you. I mean, you got 37 years in the fire service, 24 in your career job. I would think that 25-year mark is starting to approach. You're thinking about, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to say retirement, but slowing down or looking at something else. I mean, you know, most guys are 20, 25, 30 years and so on. So what does the future look like for you? I know you mentioned to me earlier the importance of identifying the end of the career and looking back to say, what's the future coming up behind me and have I made an impact on that? Talk to me about your feelings on that.
So, really haven't set a date yet, but
yeah, I'm not putting you on the spot, brother.
Yeah, really haven't set a date yet, but you know, there's so many young men and women coming up. I mean, there are great leaders that, you know, at some point you got to realize that, hey, I've had a good career. I need to step out of the way, enjoy what I have left of my life, and, you know, let them come up and lead.
We have a duty and an obligation to provide opportunity, right? Is that accurate?
Very accurate. Very accurate.
And sometimes that means we have to get out of our own way. And some people struggle with that. But I think the people that don't struggle with that are the ones that have constantly promoted their people along the way. And when you want those around you to do better and be better, you're willing to step back or step aside and let those people and let them have their time to shine. And those that are self-centered or focused solely on their own selves or career typically don't acknowledge that and when that needs to happen, and they hold their people back.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good assessment of that.
Yeah. So learning from your people, you mentioned it earlier. It's important to you. You're still a student of the game. You teach. I mean, so you're out teaching. You said a highlight of yours, and you're very humbled for it, is the opportunity to still teach with that gentleman that asked you to join him on that first night in his firehouse to come see what it was all about. That's got to be fun for you. Full circle.
Oh, it is. It is. You know, getting out and teaching, I teach at truck school in Smithfield. I teach at the Bedford Truck School. You know, taught with traditions training. I teach at the Virginia Beach Structural Collapse Specialist School in breaching and breaking. And, you know, it's always fun getting out there teaching, learning new things, passing on information, telling the students, we learn as much from you guys. So if you have something, a technique, show us, teach us about this.
That's the fun thing about what's happening now is so many guys are attending these different conferences and they're getting immersed in this, you know, unbelievable opportunities of learning. And then to have a culture where when they come home, they're welcomed to share it. They're welcomed to show us what they've learned or what they've picked up along the way. Some guys go to conferences. They go to your truck school, right, Mike? They go to your truck school. They pick up a tip or two. They take it back, and departments shit all over them for trying to better themselves. Isn't that wild that we do that?
I've seen that happen in places, and you just kind of like wonder why.
It just doesn't make sense, right? Like holding your people back or vilifying them for wanting to be better or do better and make the job better. I mean, it's just mind-numbing, and like for that to happen, it sucks because there's great opportunities now more than ever. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that hold off on attending these opportunities because they know it's not worth it. And, you know, when they come back and they get their balls broken. And we don't want that, man. Like, we want a culture where we promote one another to be better and to do better. And I know you stand for that. We've talked about it over the last 45 minutes. That's an important topic for you, for sure.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, having these men and women come back and it's like, hey, let me show you what I learned. And it's like, hey, guys, on next shift, why don't you teach something that you learned at truck school and support them on that? You know?
I agree with you. These truck schools, is it a local thing for you? Because we don't have that up here. So why is it called truck school? Is it just truck company type work, or
It's truck company work. So like Smithfield.
Yeah.
It's Friday is a day of speakers, excellent speakers, and Saturday morning, boom, you're right into sets and reps on different skills. Search with a can, forcible entry, ventilation, Mayday drills. It's a full day of it. Get some lunch in you, do it again, come back Sunday, hit it again.
Why such a focus on the truck? Is it because other than extinguishment, all other the engine guys are going to love that. Other than extinguishment, everything else is performed by the truck? Is that why it's more encompassing of the job? Like, why is it a truck school? I'm just curious. I love it. I love the concept.
I got pulled into it. They're like, hey, you like truck skills? Yeah.
Yeah.
We do truck skills. But there are the companies out there that do engine company skills.
Of course. Of course.
But this happened to be the opportunity that presented itself for me. So definitely jumping on it because I do like truck work and all.
Yeah. No, that's fun. I mean, I just love the title of it, Smithfield Truck School, the Bedford Truck School. Like, I love the idea, the concept of it, and for it to be local. Like, so in being local conferences, then these guys must eat this shit up. They probably love it, huh?
Oh yeah, and they sell out so quick. But we've at Smithfield, they've had students that drove 12 hours from Tennessee to be there.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, guys come from out of town for this, and
there's something to be said for it.
Yeah, people want the skills and knowledge that these instructors are giving. Then these are folks that are taking it back to their departments, excited about what they learned.
Excitement is contagious, no?
Oh, absolutely it is.
So how do we keep and get people excited? How do we encourage and want our people to be excited about the job? I think guys get turned off or dismayed along the way, and a lot of times because of that, the excitement is not what it was for them in their first 5 years when they're at their 20th year. You got 24 years in the career seat, 37 in the fire service. You're still getting excited, no?
Oh, absolutely, I do.
And
it's a love. It's a passion.
It's that younger generation. You enjoy when they push you?
Oh, they will push you, definitely. And that's what's really cool. And within that group, you find those that are the movers and shakers, the influencers that will influence others, and also, get that spark going in the older crowd too.
It is fun to watch. There's unique people in this world, and in the fire service, I love those guys that can bridge all age groups based upon their enthusiasm and excitement and how they can sell themselves to people. It is exciting to watch, and there are people that I know all over this fire service that can excite the oldest guy to the youngest guy, and it's just infectious, man. When you find those people, not everyone can do it. I think inherently it's a trait that not everybody has.
Right.
And so we're going out.
And and the thing is, you find those guys, and you feed them, you nourish them, you nurture them to keep that passion and fire that they have going.
Yeah, I think those guys, though, inherently have it because they have this way about themselves where they know how to navigate the space, and they have this confidence about themselves that can't be challenged by others. And I love that. We need more people like that.
Right. Right.
So what's next for Big Mike? What's next for you, Chief? We're wrapping up. What do you got that's next for you? Anything exciting? Anything coming up that you're looking forward to? Or
No, just enjoying each day that's given to me.
I love it. That's okay. That's good. I challenge you this. Keep doing what you're doing and keep working with these young guys and be inspired by them and let them do what they do. And I think when we let our people work and we manage them in a way that shows them we respect them and appreciate their efforts and what they bring forward, you get the best out of your people. And I get that sense about you. And I just enjoyed the conversation today with you, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed speaking with you.
Good, Chief. Thank you very much for joining me. It's always fun to learn and meet new people, and I'm certainly honored to have you on today, to call you a friend. And it was nice to learn a little bit about you, and if I can ever help or do anything for you, Chief, do not hesitate to reach out.
Thanks, Jeremy. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good, man. Chief, stay right where you are. I'm just going to wrap up with the closing, and then I'll get right back to you. So hang on one sec, okay?
Okay.
Cool. Thank you. Everyone, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the National Fire Radio Podcast. Battalion Chief Mike Elston, Salem Fire and EMS out of Virginia. 24 years as a firefighter there, as well as 37 years overall in the fire service with some highly decorated departments. A man that loves the job. A great conversation today, so thank you for joining us. Take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse, and talk about it, because when we talk about the job, we are making the job better. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.